is up, YouTube, and welcome back here to Coastal Trails Media for probably the last video of the year. And you know, we are at the end of yet another year. Why not go back and look at the top 5 moments from Coastal Trails Media over 2021? So let's dive right into it and check out the top 5 best things we did in 2021 here in New Brunswick. So one of our goals here on Coastal Trails Media is to demonstrate how many amazing things you can go and do for little to no money, specifically here in New Brunswick. Lots of people think about this province and don't necessarily have the best opinion of it, and so I figured why not try and change that and show some of the most amazing places and amazing things you can do. So let's dive right into it and go see how many amazing things this province has to offer. So do remember that all of these moments are pulled from different videos on the channel, and so if any of them interest you, please feel free to go back and check out the original full cut videos, as well as if this just general concept is interesting or you want to figure out more things that you can do around here, definitely subscribe to the channel because we have a lot more crazy and awesome adventures coming in 2022. So definitely be here to check those out. Alright, so I think for the first moment, I definitely have to go back to the first video of Maximize Minimal Living of the year, where we actually took a ferry across to Grand Manan and saw all that that island had to offer. It's definitely one of the biggest tourist attractions here in New Brunswick, and it's definitely earned that moniker. The island is in the middle of the Bay of Fundy, and it takes about an hour and a half on the ferry to get there. But it was apparent pretty quickly that it was worth the journey. We hiked out to the other side of the island in search of dulse, a seaweed that is one of the major exports and an important part of the island's economy. And I just had to give it a try right out of the ocean.
Cheers. It's very oceany, no surprise. It's not as bad as I thought, but it's not good either.
We checked out the awesome frozen beach, but the best part by far was checking out the sea cliffs, where we were met by terrible winds, but some of the best ocean views I've ever seen. It was the perfect junction of seclusion as well as pure natural beauty and power. It was definitely a place to go back to, and definitely one of those places where I would love to revisit again in 2022. And so the next moment I want to talk about is our trip up Little Salmon River. Now this trip took 2 different videos to cover, one where we actually hiked down to Little Salmon River and the second one where we went upstream. After a few hours of hiking and finally making it to camp, we decided to head upstream, and the warmth of the sun was matched by the cold temperature of the water. The added technicality of multiple river crossings made it a challenge, but getting to be fully immersed in the environment was really quite inspiring. As I mentioned then, we got to play action hero and got to traverse upriver unlike anything I've ever really done before. Not to mention, one of the coolest parts was having it be the first expedition that we actually got to bring a drone on and get some cool drone footage. Having the drone really did open my eyes to the new dimension, and it really got the creativity flowing of how else we could use this amazing piece of kit. Alright, so the third moment is going to be cliff jumping at Redden Falls. Now this is one of those moments that probably not best for everyone to try and recreate, but just the idea of being able to hike out into the middle of nowhere, go swimming under a waterfall, and really truly be free was quite an experience. It's this freedom that you get here in New Brunswick, which I find is unmatched of any other places I've been to, whether that's British Columbia, Quebec, or Ontario, even Nova Scotia. What I mean is you really have free range, and as long as you know your limits, there's really nothing that you can't do. Getting to swim in the waterfall is already pretty cool. Getting to do it with only your closest friends around an hour into the bush truly leaves you feeling free. The jumping was really the cherry on top, something that I've wanted to do for years now, and while this wasn't high, maybe 10, 12 feet, it still got the adrenaline up, and it was kind of a dream come true to be truly limitless. Alright, so my runner-up for favorite moment of the year has to have been a more recent video where Brian and I got to go to Lion's Den Cave in Rockwood Park. We had visited it a little bit earlier on in the year, and we were met with conditions that we weren't quite ready for. And so we had to go back in the fall and do it. And I'm really, really glad we did. And it was really probably the one adventure of the year that got me outside of my comfort zone and really pushed me and my limits. We did talk in the cave how it was a challenge, but had reprieves as the chambers kept opening up one after the other, unlike a lot of other caves in the area. Getting to walk up a stream and climb up waterfalls underground was pretty cool. Being able to follow the stream also increased the difficulty level, as you now had to deal with being cold and wet on top of the pressure of just being in a dark tunnel underground. But every time you manage to conquer the fear and face the challenge, you get a boost in your confidence and you get more and more bold. Again, this is another adventure where you really have to know your own limits. But as long as you can keep that in check, you pretty much have free range to do what you want.
This isn't something you'd want to do on the first day you meet somebody. First date ideas. This isn't on that list. Yeah.
I actually had a moment where my confidence overtook the logical thinking that I should have been doing, and I pointed that moment out.
Oh, this is... No, we can make it. Generally speaking, when people start saying, we can make it like that, that's a bad sign. Normally means...
Especially when you say it.
Normally, it means it's time to turn around, but this looks big enough that just this first section's pretty tight, but after that it opens up and I can see another waterfall in the back.
And so by doing that, it gave me the opportunity to take a step back and examine the situation more critically before deciding to move on. There is no better feeling in the world than conquering a fear and knowing that you got to be somewhere where few people have stood before you. And so to me, ultimately, at the end of the day, the number one best experience that we've had throughout all of 2021 was when Curtis and I got to do a sunset hike at New River Beach. And the reason I think this takes the number one place here on this list is simply because it's a pure representation of what this channel stands for. It goes to show you that you don't have to put in a lot of time or a lot of money. You just have to be really creative, and you can absolutely make the most out of any situation regardless of where you are. And this isn't necessarily particular to New Brunswick. Anywhere where you can go see a sunset, you can do an activity similar to this. It was a last-minute plan that came together from a simple idea of how to make the most of less. It cost nothing more than hot chocolate and gas, and it created a memory that lasts a lifetime. On top of that, it pushed me again outside of my comfort zone and got me to do something I had never really considered before, a night hike, specifically in the winter on top of that. It really is my goal with this channel to document my journeys and my attempts to create the most of a minimal and simplistic life. I can't think of anything that represents that idea more than this journey. And so with that, those are the top 5 moments of journeys we went on in 2021, and I'm super looking forward to 2022. We have new equipment, we're getting kind of a little bit better at this as we go week on and week off, and I am really just excited to see some of the more intense adventures that we get to go on as we get more comfortable and as we get a little bit more organized. We already have so many awesome ideas of things that we want to do and places that we want to go and adventures we want to get on and dive into. And so I'm really just thankful for everyone who takes the time to actually watch some of these crazy videos. It is a dream come true for me to actually make all these little short films, and it really is a passion project that I like to throw myself 100% into. And so with that, I want to say thank you all again for watching. I hope you guys had a halfway decent 2021, and I hope that we can all make the most of 2022. And so with that, I will see you guys in the new year.